Welcome back to Relationships at Work, your leadership guide to building workplace connections and avoiding blind spots. I'm your host, Russel Lolacher, a communications and leadership expert with a couple of decades of experience in both those areas, and a whole heap of curiosity on how we can make the workplace a better place. If you are a leader, a curious leader, trying to understand and improve your impact on work culture and the employee experience, well, you are in the right place. This is Thursday, so it must be a mini episode of the podcast. Just a quick, valuable bit of information, usually under 10 minutes, just to help you shift your mindset for the week ahead and beyond. If you're curious about the mini episodes and where these ideas and insights come from, well, actually, they're all inspired by our Raw Note newsletter, which comes out also every Thursday, except it's a few months ahead of the podcast. So if you're curious, just head over to russellolacher.com or relationshipsatworkshow.com. Either or, at the top, you'll see a way to sign up to the newsletter. It's super free. Easy, just as easy as that. But the episode that I want to talk about today, it's about leadership training. It's done. Okay, but now what? Have you ever heard this before? Do you know how you can spot the bad leaders? They're the ones who went to school for it. That is a frequent joke that I have heard from many after I myself graduated from university, because the same thing was said about those with communication degrees, which is one that I have. Basically, if you have a degree in or a master's in leadership or communications, you're the ones that often aren't the best at it. I wouldn't agree wholeheartedly with that, but there is something to it. Let me explain. Education, professional development, whatever you want to call it, it's absolutely vital to growth. Absolutely part of the leadership journey. It keys into that essential curiosity that all leaders just have to have. It expands our thinking, it provides new experiences, but that is also a checked box. It begins and it ends when we're talking about education, courses, and so forth. It shouldn't. If you've heard my podcast, you're listening to it right now, so I'm assuming so, or you've read the Raw Note newsletter over time, you know checked box leadership is a huge problem across industries. It forces organizations to focus far more on intent rather than on impact. Taking a course, getting a degree, completing training, finishing a program, all great. But if there's no follow-up to the learning, or direction, or opportunity, or support, it's a wasted effort. It's a checked box. There's no strategy, no supportive anything. It allows organizations to say they support leadership by sending staff off to get certification rather than nurturing those leaders in a foundation that training, that education provides. It doesn't allow growth. Now, I've told this story a few times about the biggest takeaway I had recently at the Work Human Conference. I attended this in the summer of 2024 in Austin, Texas, and the biggest learning was not from the stage, it wasn't from booths or any of the experts. It was from what I overheard in the hallways. There was this HR professional talking on her phone to obviously a colleague back at her office, and she was raving about the learning and the connections she was making. These are my people. This is my tribe. She was using all the fancy words. But then she ended the conversation that just blew my mind and really, really hit home. She said, after all these raving comments about how great the conference was, she said, "But what am I supposed to do with this when I get back to the office?" Heartbreaking. What this told me in that moment was that there was no plan for her leadership. There was no next step. The conference was a checked box. This was a professional development. Check. Not a source for learning, for growing, for improving, for this HR professional, for what she could add to the workplace. It was a one and done. And it's ironic, isn't it, to have a leadership program, to have leadership training without a leadership plan. We need to ensure that this learning isn't lost and that we demonstrate actual investment in this effort. So we need to implement some infrastructure. And that's what I'm going to talk about today to really help us with this. So consider these things. First, Provide regular coaching and mentoring sessions. We need to help these leaders apply what they've learned and address any challenges they face in real time. And that only comes with these sessions where there's, coaching and mentoring going, okay, what did you learn? How can we apply it? Conversation, discussion. The second one is scheduling follow-up sessions or refresher courses to reinforce some of those key concepts and skills. This can help really reinforce that learning and address any new issues that might arise. This way, the learning, it doesn't end. Number 3, have those attendees create action plans. I love this one. What did you learn? How can we implement it? Show us how. And then set specific, measurable goals based on that training. We can regularly review these plans and goals and track the progress and make the necessary adjustments along the way. It's learning in action. Number 4, establish peer learning groups or communities. Sometimes they're communities of practice, sometimes they're employee resource groups, what have you, but they are a peer learning group. So leaders can share these experiences, whether they're challenges, whether they're best practices or preferred practices. The learning is shared, the knowledge is passed on. This fosters a culture of continuous learning and support for everybody. Number 5, make sure those leadership skills and behaviors are a part of the performance evaluations. That's right, performance reviews should be part of this, and not just, did you take a course? Satisfactory. No. We need to ensure that these skills have been learned in training, are recognized, rewarded, and then there's a plan to develop them in those performance reviews. And last, number 6, in ways that we can really encourage that learning and not have it be a checked box exercise, is assign those leaders to projects that require the new skills and knowledge. This gives them practical experience and reinforces that learning can be used in real-world scenarios. It's applicable. So completing a program, finishing a degree, getting certified, it's one step in the leadership learning journey. As organizations, as leaders, we can do so much better in supporting that journey for our teams. Have a plan. And as learning leaders ourselves, as being that person in the hallway that's wondering, what do I do with this? We should be advocating more from those stopping short and checkboxing our development, rather than actually supporting our learning journey. We need to be part of the conversation too. That's it. That wraps up another mini episode of Relationships at Work, your leadership guide to building workplace connections and avoiding blind spots. I'm Russell, and I'm thrilled to have another bit of time with you, a few minutes, not as long as our guest episodes, but I hope these are quick and helpful. However you hear them, whether you're going for a run or a commute, you're in the car, you're on a bus, train, however you like to travel. But I hope this helps you think a little differently or reinforces some of the ideas you already knew, but just needed a bit of a nudge or reminder in. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of the show, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care.